First and foremost, red salute to our dear comrade, late Dr. Sitaram Yechury, a stalwart and statesman. His contribution towards an exploitation-free society and Palestine cause will be remembered among many other causes he stood for in his lifelong dedication for the pursuit of justice and equality. Our India is a hallowed ground and a sacred land, an enlightened nation with a tapestry of colorful yarn bundled from many nations, cultures, and beliefs, knitted since time immemorial. We, with our open arms, invited any new deity or religion or ideas and were known for our diversity, which flourished as a way of life rather than a rigid dogma. In this land, the ancient text, Manusmriti, imposed the categorization of caste division. The Caste Disabilities Removal Act of 1850 did put a break on this. Though the caste system and religious sentiments were exploited by our colonizers, they were fought by our visionary freedom fighters and national leaders who founded our beloved nation on the principles of liberty, equality, fraternity, and human dignity. These principles were intended to protect the rights and freedom of all citizens and to set an example for the world. However, beneath the surface of peace and tranquility, caste and religious sentiments were brewing hatred in the late 20th and beginning of 21st century, which was contained by leaders who believed in constitutional values, and the communal flames were stoked by the communal elements. There has been a seismic shift in the last 10 years towards an extreme fascist ideology that is socially and economically excluding people on the grounds of their creed, caste, class, culture, dress, food habits, language, ability, gender, and so on, through propaganda and false narratives and using anything which can divide us. A Hindutva vision that excludes people who do not conform to its narrow definition of Indianness is spreading fast as the gospel truth. Under the guise of cultural nationalism, the rise of militant Hindu nationalism spearheaded by RSS and BJP forces is trying to impose a monolithic division of Hindu supremacy, relegating religious minorities to second-class citizens and pitching the two monolithic religions, Christianity and Islam, of Abrahamic origin, and the community as Hindutva's enemy by terrifying and trampling through social and economic sanctions and boycotts. Our country has come to a point where the indifference of neighbors and the epidemic of hate are so high that Muslimness and Christianness or some external markers of these persons are sufficient to intimidate, exclude, kill, violate, humiliate, jail, and do what they want to do to the minorities. It's a satire that the Hindutva propagators who oppose vehemently Christians in India are bosom friends of Christian fundamentalists of the US and Europe. A point to highlight here is that Western imperialism is wedded to Eastern Hindutva capitalism. John Haggard, chairman and founder of Christians United for Israel, the largest pro-Israel lobby in the USA, has 40 million evangelical Christians, Zionist members. They fully support the Gaza genocide and find no reason that Christ is extremely disappointed with them. Also, Islamophobia among the Christians cannot be ignored as it divides the minorities, so they need to work on this as well. Social and economic exclusion of minorities in India today is increasing each day and is visible all over. It is a disadvantage, relegating people to the fringe of society, a social phenomena by which minorities, caste, subgroups, Dalits, and tribals are excluded and locked out of the system with an iron gate. Excluded from institutions and processes systematically that reproduces disadvantage and contribute to deprivation at multidimensional level, such as livelihood, security, employment, income, property, house, health, education, skill, cultural capital, citizenship, legal equality, democratic participation, public good, family, sociability, human respect, fulfillment, and understanding. All these are synonymous with the minorities, Muslims and Christians, who are mostly Dalits and tribals. Hunger and destitution have been manufactured through the perpetrators of Hindutva violence through such social and economic exclusion. Children, youth, women, LGBTQIA, people with disabilities are doubly vulnerable today. Poverty is degrading and absolute poverty dehumanizes, said German scholar Schumacher. A compassionate economy is what our country needs right now, not hate and violence. It's not about people being pushed to poverty, which is a serious human rights violation. It is much more than that. Social and economic exclusion is exacerbated by institutional mechanisms, which has taken a position of satisfying the majoritarian noise rather than upholding the Constitution. To name a few, CAA, NRC, abrogation of Article 370, attempt to saffronize defense and police, call for a uniform civil code, Ram temple construction, reservation for the privileged, EWS, denial of benefits of reservation for Christians and Muslim Dalits, lynching and killing minorities, name-calling, hate speech, fake encounters, demonetization, corporate Hindutva collaboration, FCRA denial, and a stifling of civil society fund and freedom, Manipur and Kandhamal innumerable attacks on Christians and Muslims, Waqf Board Amendment Bill, bulldozer Raj, saffronization of education, arms trading of children, loud jihad, triple talaq, anti-conversion law on hijab and social markers all contribute and part of economic and social exclusion. Experience of men and women are different in communal context. Extremists often directly target women by killing, raping, or enslaving them. This is mainly because women are seen as the carriers of honor. This can be seen in Manipur, Gujarat, Muzaffarnagar, in fact, everywhere. Politics is always played on women's body. Muhammad Aklaf or Pelu Khan or any others who were killed by mobs were all already poor, and the burden of keeping the family went on falling on their wives, and they can barely survive. Women experience withdrawing inwards, which is a kind of ghettoization, is also for them a safety mode of withdrawing into the orthodoxies like visible markers of community identity on their person and their behavior. Women stop reporting about domestic violence. They realize that their men are already the target of the police. Attack on educational and economic and social opportunities for women and girls is another consequence which impacts the education of the girl child as they drop out of the school during such time. People from minority communities and vulnerable sections suffer in jail for 3 or 4 years, and they get acquitted after the prosecution fails to prove his or her guilt. This is happening in many cases now. In Bhima Koregaon case, the arrests were made without any evidence under the unlawful activity, and the 97% cases have been acquitted. The hardship, social and economic exclusion is enormous. Couple of cases to highlight. The case of Convoy Yatra of July 2024, in which, as part of the preparation, police issued the notice for eateries to display the names of the proprietors so that convoyers don't have to buy from the Muslim shop. It's a clear violation of the Constitution. It's an example to show how social and economic exclusion happens to the minorities. Timely court intervention by the moderator as well as other friends, alert citizens have made sure that the government could withdraw, the court could withdraw the boycott. Manipur violence is another example of how the violence disembers and exclude socially and economically the Kuki Christians. The violence has left more Kukis disenfranchised. The Prime Minister is quiet on this and did not visit the state until today. More than 300 churches were destroyed and burnt. According to official sources, there were about 178 dead and 11,000 injured, and unofficial figures are much more. The violence still continues and peace is not restored. The experience of Manipur Christians is totally a social and economic exclusion. FCRA is another case in point. The Dravidian Self-Respect Movement leader, EVR, said that the social organizations need to work for the communities. Here we see a government killing the social sector and rendering thousands jobless. I would like to conclude by saying the current regime, their efforts for emergence of an explicit Hindu country would transform the Indian state into an antithesis of what it is envisaged. In a country of high ideals, those who dehumanize others are actually dehumanizing themselves. The longer Hindu nationalists are in power, the greater the challenge will be to Muslim status and Christians, and the harder it will be to reverse the situation, says Ashutosh Vashne of Brown University. We need to resist, reclaim, and revolutionize. Desmond Tutu said, if you are neutral in the situation of injustice, you have chosen to be on the side of the oppressor. Education can breed confidence, confidence can breed hope, hope can breed peace, said Confucius. Peace is not the absence of war, but also the absence of structural and more invisible forms of violence, like social and economic exclusion. Peace is holistic, both absence of harm and presence of condition leading to inclusive, peaceful, and just societies. The quest for justice and equality should expand and include the rainbow coalition of all those who are excluded, people with disability, people who are living with HIV/AIDS, people who are tribals and Dalits, and all the minorities. All the vulnerable section coming together by breaking down all barriers between them and standing together for communal forces is the best solution. We need to desaffronize and work towards a government which is secular, with creating a mindset of inclusiveness. Feminist agency need to be put to use. Women are half of humanity and the mother of the other half. Women have the agency to build peace and build counter-narrative. Women leaders are critical. Commitment towards equity and justice should have women at the heart of our pursuit. Societies that are peaceful experience increased income, growth, strong currency, higher form of investment, political stability, greatest happiness among all. Let's dare to dream to dare, hope to dream to hope.